Welcome to Scrum Prep School, where Scrum is made simple and success is made possible. I am so excited to be with you today. My name is Lydia Masalé. I am the founder of Scrum Prep School, and I am speaking to you today about 3 communication blockers impacting your job opportunities. And the awesome thing is that communication obviously is not restricted to just the jobs that we seek, or we desire. Improved communication impacts our lives in all areas. And so your job is just one of them. So lean in. Let's dive into uncovering these blockers and learning some ways that we can improve any type of issues you might have currently. And any opportunities, that's what I should say, opportunities for growth, because I think you're already on a great path, but we all have room for growth. Now, what is communication? For the sake of this conversation, communication is a process that involves sending and receiving messages through verbal and nonverbal methods. Communication is a two-way means of communicating information in the form of thoughts, opinions, and ideas between 2 or more individuals with the purpose of building and understanding. I love this definition, one, because it stresses that communication is both verbal, but it's also non-verbal. So you're doing some talking with your mouth, and you're doing some talking that does not involve your mouth. I love it also because as we look at the definition and we understand it to include thoughts, opinions, and ideas, I want for you to get rid of this thought that an interview is just you answering questions. Get in there and lean into this truth right now, that when you are in an interview, you are communicating your thoughts. You are communicating your opinions. You are communicating your ideas. You are communicating professional philosophy. You are communicating expertise. You are communicating skills. You are communicating your success. You are communicating your wisdom. You see, there is so much more to your communication than I have to answer these questions right. I can't get this wrong. What's the right answer to this? No. Do not boil it down to just that for yourself. I said lean in. Are you leaning? Lean in. Okay? Why? Because it's deeper than that. Because you're deeper than that. You carry a level of wisdom that you have to learn how to cultivate the ability to communicate. Cultivate your ability to communicate. I recently heard, and I did not include it in this slide, but it has dropped into my mind, so I will quickly share it, that we are not taught to communicate. We are not taught to articulate our value. We just are not. And that's a part of my purpose with Scrum Prep School, is to teach you, is to work with you, is to engage with you, is to plead with you, is to encourage you, is to inspire you to learn how to articulate your value, learn how to listen, not just sell yourself short. I mean, really, like, sell yourself, pick your head up, like, let people know, like, if you don't hire me, it's gonna be a problem for you. I don't see things working well for this company if I am not involved, right? It might seem like a level of pride or whatever you might call it, but there's a way of thinking that I've learned to tap into, and I'm beginning to not just say I have value and then not obviously deliver. That's another session, and we will talk about that. But man, communicating the value that you bring is critical. So let's move on, because there are 3 forms of communication that I will be focusing on. And 3 forms of communication that each of us experience when it comes to blockers for job opportunities, and that's personal communication. The second is professional communication, and the third is our physical communication. Remember, we said that which is nonverbal. Well, that's our physical communication. So let's continue. Personal communication, your internal language blocker is blocker number one. Personal communication in this case is also self-talk, your inner dialogue, the ongoing conversation you are having with yourself in your mind. How are you processing thoughts, feelings, and experiences? And I learned this when I was wanting to transition from teaching to tech, and I was spending time dealing here with the thoughts, with the feelings, with the experiences of feeling like, well, doors are being shut, or I am not getting the responses that I want. And all of that can lead to inner talk, self-talk, inner dialogue, inner language that can then influence emotions, behaviors, the decision-making process, and it can impact your overall well-being. So this is a blocker that if you see opportunity for growth, you want to address. Why? Because positive self-communication can help us cultivate our self-esteem, our confidence, our resilience. Negative self-talk can lead to self-doubt. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to depression. And I want to encourage you, if you're saying, I don't do the negative self-talk, that is great. It's a great place to start. But my question to you is, are you doing any positive self-communication at all that can help you cultivate that self-esteem? Are you being intentional? Listen, when you're on your job search and you're in the industry, you're probably looking for a new role, a better opportunity, and you've done this thing for a few years. Again, the experience, the education, all of those things can help you lean into a level of confidence. But when you are new, when you're looking to break into, when you're looking for someone to give you an opportunity, now you want to really be sure that you are leaning in and saying, this is not a blocker for me. I am communicating with myself personally that I can do this work. I am communicating with myself that I am capable of understanding whatever you need to do internally. Make sure that you are speaking well. So pay attention to your internal language patterns. Make a conscious effort to shift from negative to positive, or even if you feel that you have neutral, still switch to positive. And one way, again, is to become self-aware, reflect on thinking, observe your thoughts without judgment, and replace them as you need to. And then also seek support, from friends, family members, professionals. There are ways that you can really help to replace that language, if internally. And listen, that's the foundation. And so do not minimize this. I was on the fence for so long about what I wanted to do. And as I began to struggle, it was going to be very easy. It would take nothing for me to just hop off, stop, quit. I can't do this, so I'm not even going to try. But I mean, the positive self-talk, when it came in, it supported me making the decision to go for this thing. And the rest was history. So it's so important. The second type of communication we mentioned was professional communication. So your expertise language blocker is that second blocker. Listen, language is one of the most important tools used in professional communication, if not the most, right? The way, not just like the language, but the way we use language can convey our level of expertise, our level of professionalism. Oh, here goes an important word, our level of credibility. How are you speaking? What makes you credible? What makes you sound like an expert? What makes you the professional in the room? One that has command and understanding of the industry or of what the role requires. So it impacts how your message is received by the audience, the person you're communicating with, in this case, in your interviews. But let's get really practical for a moment. If I there's something about going to a doctor and being able to communicate with that person. And you as the listener, you as the patient, you as the one receiving their messaging, there's certain language that your doctor will use describing the body in a way that is medically, professionally communicated. And you might not know what all the word means, but it makes you feel good because it's like, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. She sounds like she's been doing this for a while. I'm in good hands. Let's even break it down even further. You've heard people that are in the food industry talk about food and the palate. And I mean, they'll use words and describe things in a way that you're like, it's seasoned nicely. No, I mean, they're getting in there and they're saying, I can taste the heat in the back of my tongue. And there's a level of expertise that is being communicated. So you want to make sure that when you're communicating professionally, you're clear, you're concise. I love the reminder though to avoid using technical jargon or complex words that don't serve you or your audience. So we're not talking about throwing in words, throwing in terms for the sake of wanting to sound professional. No, everything within the context, and doing so, child, especially like the chat GPT answers, no, you're not trying to sound like a textbook. You're not trying to sound like a software or whatever. You're trying to just communicate as a professional, okay? You should use language and vocabulary when needed, that terminology that provides clear explanations. That you're the expert. You know what you're doing. And it starts by communicating that, okay? You also want to be mindful of your tone, your demeanor. It's important to remain calm and professional, even in difficult or stressful situations. And for many of us, interviews can be difficult or stressful. They don't have to be, but they can be. And so as you're acknowledging that, if perhaps that is a concern of yours, remember that pacing your words, that your tone being even, your demeanor, working to be calm, taking deep breaths, pausing before you answer a question, not looking like you don't know the answer, but just reflecting, that's a great question. One thing I would say is, or my answer to that is, various practices and practical things that you can apply. And if you would like to get more practical and have more insight about this, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to share in even more detail. The last communication that I mentioned is physical communication. That's the nonverbal communication, is your body language. Body language is essential. It's a part of communication. We overlook it because we have boiled sometimes communication down to being verbal, all about the words, all about the speech, all about what we say. But I'm telling you, your mouth may be saying one thing, but your body is doing something else, and that can leave clues that you might not want to. In fact, it is the use of nonverbal cues to convey our thoughts, our feelings, our intentions. So the way we stand, the way we sit, the way we move, the way we express with our face, our facial expressions, they can communicate a lot more than words say. And so one of the most important aspects is posture. Posture is so important because it can convey confidence. It can convey assertiveness. It can convey even submissiveness. Okay, so there's an array, a variety of messages that you can send. So I want to encourage you to sit up tall during your interviews with your shoulders back. It communicates confidence, while slouching can convey a lack of confidence. For me, I experience the tension, shoulders hunched up high and kind of sitting with my hands in my lap unknowingly, just wanting it to be over, just wanting to get the answers right, just wanting to be done. And it only leaned into the nerves and me being more nervous. So you want to begin to walk in this awareness and begin to change and focus. Am I sitting back? Am I sitting up? Am I calm? Am I breathing? If my mouth is dry, do I have a glass of water or a bottle of water right there? So many ways you want to engage and really unblock yourself from anything that is holding back your job opportunities. Facial expressions. You're having a conversation with an interview. When I started this session with you, talking about communicating your wisdom, communicating your expertise. So there should be moments where you can smile, you can nod, you can have facial expressions of deep thought. The gestures, the movements are another aspect. You see, I'm using my hands. You might not want to overdo it, but if you are someone that is expressive, that's fine. Maybe there's a moment that you can again point or show agreement, nodding, convey enthusiasm in agreement. But body language makes a significant impact on your communication. So the awareness, paying attention to those nonverbal cues, this is one way that you can unblock any communication, again, opportunities for growth that you might have. And this concludes the 3 types of communication blockers that are really impacting your job opportunities. There's more. If you want more, you can subscribe to Scrum Prep School on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Scrum Prep School. You can visit scrumprepschool.com for more information. You can email me, Lydia@scrumprepschool.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you go to scrumprepschool.com, you can sign up for a weekly newsletter, free resources. Also, you can book a clarity call with me, a career clarity call. I'd love to talk to you one-on-one, completely free. And I am so honored that you watched this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.